Savannah Pierce's Rolex glinted like liquid gold in the morning sun as she surveyed her domain, Camp Redwood's pristine training grounds. Every polished surface, every perfectly aligned piece of equipment reflected her authority as the base's most decorated trainer. The pleasing weight of her achievement medals pressed against her chest, a constant reminder of her untouchable status. We read every single comment. So tell us where you're watching from and what time you found this. And don't forget to subscribe. The newcomer's scuffed canvas sneakers were an insult to everything Savannah had built. Maya Roberts, if that was even her real name, didn't belong here among the elite. The girl's quiet confidence made Savannah's perfectly manicured fingers twitch with irritation. Oops. Savannah's designer water bottle tilted with surgical precision, sending a stream of imported spring water cascading over Maya's pedestrian footwear. The resulting laughter from Savannah's devoted circle of trainees echoed across the grounds like a symphony of validation. So sorry, darling. But really, those shoes were begging for some improvement. Something flashed in Maya's eyes. Not the expected humiliation, but something harder, more dangerous. The girl's steady gaze locked onto Savannah's face with unsettling intensity. For a fraction of a second, Savannah's confidence wavered. Is there a problem here? Colonel Harrison's voice cut through the laughter like a blade. Savannah's smile widened as she turned ready to explain away this minor entertainment. But the words died in her throat as she saw who stood beside him. General Monroe's wife, wearing the same kind of canvas sneakers as Maya, raised one elegant eyebrow. Captain Roberts, I trust you're finding everything satisfactory for tomorrow's Special Forces Leadership Seminar. The blood drained from Savannah's face as Maya, Captain Roberts, straightened to perfect military posture. Everything's illuminating, ma'am, very educational. Savannah's fingers found her prized achievement medals, clutching them like a lifeline. Her carefully curated world of absolute control suddenly felt as unstable as a house of cards in a hurricane. Within minutes, phones appeared among the watching crowd. Trainer Takedown started trending. Would her empire of carefully cultivated authority survive the next 24 hours? As the morning sun caught her Rolex again, the light seemed less like glory and more like an interrogation lamp. Type karma if you've ever seen someone's perfect facade crack. Alone in her office later, Savannah stared at her reflection in the window, her medals heavy with accusation. I built this, she whispered to herself, remembering every competitor she'd eliminated, every challenger she'd humiliated on her climb to the top. Nobody can take this from me, nobody. But the tremor in her voice betrayed her growing fear that tomorrow would prove her terribly wrong. The question wasn't if she would fall. It was how far and how many would be watching when she did. Officer Savannah Pierce stares at the personnel file spread across her pristine mahogany desk, her perfectly manicured nails drumming an anxious rhythm against Maya Roberts' military photo. Special Forces insignia gleams back at her mockingly. 3 combat tours. Presidential Unit Citation. Bronze Star with Valor. Each accolade feels like an indictment of her own carefully constructed facade. This has to be some kind of mistake, she mutters, adjusting her immaculate uniform for the 10th time this hour. The morning's humiliation replays in her mind, how she'd sneered at Maya's unpolished appearance, how the other trainers had laughed on cue. The familiar rush of power feels hollow, now tainted by the growing realization that she'd just publicly dressed down someone who'd led classified missions while she'd been organizing charity galas. Her Rolex, a gift from General Harrison after her suspiciously rapid promotion, ticks accusingly in the silence. Each second drives home an uncomfortable truth. Her entire authority rests on appearances, connections, and her family name. The Pierce legacy at Camp Redwood spans 3 generations, but what has she actually earned? A notification chirps on her phone. The video from this morning's incident is gaining traction. Pierce privilege trends alongside comments dissecting her background. Daddy's connections strike again. One reads. Her throat tightens as she recognizes the commenter. Colonel Matthews, her father's oldest friend. The morning's security footage plays on her monitor. She watches herself poised and pristine, circling Maya like a predator. Your kind of experience isn't what we value here. Her recorded voice drips with practiced disdain. But Maya's quiet response. With respect, ma'am, I've earned every scar. Hits differently now, reaching for her trainer's whistle, the symbol of her authority. Officer Pierce's hand trembles. The polished silver surface reflects a perfect image, just like everything in her world. But perfection, she's beginning to realize, might be the ugliest lie of all. A knock interrupts her spiral. Ma'am. Lieutenant Chen peers in his usual deference, tinged with something new. Hesitation, judgment. General Harrison's wife is requesting the combat training schedules. She mentioned something about reviewing inclusion metrics. The words hit like physical blows. Sandra Harrison, the general's wife, had been in the observation gallery during this morning's incident. She'd seen everything. And now she wants data. Officer Pierce's personal database reveals the pattern she's tried so hard to ignore. Every trainer she's hired fits the same profile, privileged background, impressive connections, minimal field experience. The stark contrast with the base's actual combat veterans makes her stomach churn. Have you seen these statistics? She whispers to herself, scrolling through years of hiring data. Studies show diverse combat experience improves unit effectiveness by 47%. The research paper on her screen might as well be screaming at her. She'd dismissed it last month as irrelevant to our standards. Her phone buzzes again. A message from her father. Fix this. Now. The 3 words carry the weight of generations of carefully maintained influence. But for the first time, Officer Savannah Pierce wonders if some things shouldn't be fixed. Maybe they should be broken instead. Type truth if you've ever faced your own privilege, she mutters bitterly, imagining the social media storm brewing outside her office walls. Her perfectly ordered world is unraveling one revealed truth at a time. The whistle gleams accusingly on her desk. She reaches for it, then pulls back as if burned. How many others had she dismissed, diminished, destroyed to maintain her illusion of superiority? The answer lies in the files before her, in the careers stalled, and spirits crushed under the weight of her standards. A final notification flashes, Special Forces Command requesting immediate clarification on training protocols. Officer Pierce's empire of perfection is crumbling, and she's starting to realize she never deserved to build it in the first place. Savannah Pierce's hands trembled as she checked her phone for the 100th time, watching the training exercise footage spread like wildfire across social media. Her perfectly manicured nails, usually a source of pride, now clicked nervously against the screen as another notification pinged. The Tumbaranasibi Elite Fail hashtag had reached over 100,000 mentions in just 3 hours. Through the window of her private office at Camp Redwood, Savannah Pierce observed Maya Roberts orchestrating the rescue simulation with a quiet efficiency that made her stomach churn. The same recruits who had snapped to attention at Savannah Pierce's barked orders now moved like a synchronized unit under Maya's gentle guidance, their movements precise and purposeful. The weight of the Rolex on Savannah Pierce's wrist, her cherished symbol of elite status, felt suffocating. She caught herself twisting it obsessively, remembering how she'd flashed it earlier while belittling Maya's worn standard-issue watch. Now the golden timepiece seemed to mock her with each tick, counting down the seconds of her crumbling authority. Ma'am, General Thompson is requesting the training logs from the past 6 months. Her assistant's voice wavered at the door. Savannah Pierce froze, her blood running cold. She knew what they'd find. Dozens of recruits pushed to breaking point, their complaints buried under her carefully cultivated network of influence. Another ping. The video of Maya calmly correcting Savannah Pierce's flawed extraction protocol had gone viral. The comments were brutal. "Watch an elite trainer get schooled by a real leader." The footage captured every detail of her humiliation. Her aggressive posturing, her dismissive sneer, all crumbling in the face of Maya's composed expertise. Through her office window, Savannah Pierce watched as Colonel Martinez, previously her strongest ally, engaged in animated conversation with Maya. The colonel's body language told the story, leaning in, nodding respectfully, completely ignoring the woman who'd been his go-to trainer for 5 years. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was a message from the Special Forces Command: immediate suspension of all elite training activities pending review. Savannah Pierce's hands shook so violently she nearly dropped the phone. The message continued. Please prepare all documentation regarding trainee evaluations and dismissals. The perfectly arranged certificates on her wall, once her armor of legitimacy, now seemed to stare down at her accusingly. Each one represented a connection, a favor, a carefully cultivated relationship that had allowed her to maintain her position despite the whispered complaints and concerned reports. "Have you seen what they're saying about the morning session?" 2 junior trainers whispered outside her door, not realizing she could hear every word. "They're calling it the fall of the false elite." Even CNN picked it up. Savannah Pierce clutched her Rolex, its cool metal no longer providing the comfort it once did. The timepiece had been her first major purchase after securing the elite trainer position, a symbol of everything she'd achieved. Now it felt like a shackle marking her as exactly what Maya had exposed her to be, all flash, no substance. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across her office as Savannah Pierce watched her carefully constructed world unravel. The viral clips kept coming side-by-side comparisons of her aggressive methods versus Maya's effective leadership testimonials, from former trainees emerging from the woodwork, the hashtag #ChachaRealLeader, celebrating Maya's approach, while "Nadu Elite Fail" chronicled Savannah Pierce's downfall. Type exposed if you've ever seen fake authority crumble. The comment sections were flooded with responses, each one another nail in the coffin of her reputation. As dusk approached, Savannah Pierce stood alone in her office, finally facing the truth she'd spent years denying. Her authority had always been an illusion, maintained through intimidation rather than earned through genuine leadership. The Rolex caught the fading light, throwing accusations of inadequacy across the walls of her emptying office. The last notification of the day was the most devastating a meeting scheduled for tomorrow morning with the general himself. Savannah Pierce knew with crushing certainty that her reign at Camp Redwood was over. The very institution she'd manipulated to maintain her position was about to show her exactly how it felt to be on the receiving end of true authority. Officer Bradley Larson stands frozen in the precinct hallway, his once pristine badge now a tarnished weight against his chest. The fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across his face as he watches the video of Maya Roberts' masterful crisis response play on every screen in the building. His own voice, shrill and panicked, provides a stark counterpoint to her measured commands. "Turn it off!" he barks at Officer Chen, but his authority rings hollow now. The footage has gone viral on Tour leadership lesson trending nationwide. His phone buzzes constantly with notifications, each one a fresh reminder of his spectacular fall from grace. Savannah reaches for the familiar comfort of her Rolex, the symbol of her hard-earned status at Camp Redwood. For 15 years, this watch has marked every triumph, every moment she put another recruit in their place. Now its weight feels like a shackle. Her fingers trace the elegant curve of its face one last time before she opens her desk drawer. Click. The sound of the watch being locked away echoes through her office like a gunshot. Outside, she can hear the cadets gathering for evening formation, under Maya's command now. The same Maya she'd tried so desperately to break just yesterday. Her computer screen flashes with another notification. The training video has reached General Monroe's office. Comments flood in. This is what real leadership looks like. Watch and learn Pierce. The hashtag short leadership lesson burns across her screen like an accusation. A knock at her door makes her flinch. It's Colonel Hayes, his expression grave. The general wants to see you, now. Walking across the parade ground, Savannah feels naked without her watch. Cadets who once snapped to attention at her approach now watch her pass with knowing looks. They've all seen the footage Maya staying calm during the emergency evacuation, while Savannah screamed orders and shoved panicked recruits. The general's office looms before her, its windows reflecting the setting sun like flames. Inside, Maya stands at parade rest, her presence a silent rebuke. The viral clips play on a screen behind the general's desk, side-by-side comparisons that tell the story without words. Maya's quiet strength versus Savannah's desperate grasp at control. 15 years of service, Pierce. The general says, her voice carrying the weight of disappointment. 15 years of breaking recruits instead of building leaders. Savannah's carefully constructed walls begin to crumble. Ma'am, no excuses. The general gestures to Maya. Captain Roberts has shown us what we've been missing. Leadership isn't about fear or status symbols. It's about strength through unity. The words hit harder than any physical blow. Savannah's empire of intimidation built on designer watches and sharp commands dissolves in the face of true leadership. Outside, thousands of cadets have gathered on the parade ground. The setting sun gleams off their faces as they wait for the announcement they know is coming. Social media buzzes with anticipation. Watch history change. Leadership lesson. Savannah Pierce, former elite trainer of Camp Redwood, steps onto the podium. Her bare wrist feels exposed under the eyes of the assembled ranks. But for the first time in her career, she stands before them not as a tyrant, but as someone learning to be human. Drop one if you've witnessed real leadership rise, scrolls across screens worldwide as Savannah faces her moment of truth. The transformation of military leadership culture hasn't just gone viral, it's become a revolution. And Savannah Pierce, stripped of her symbols of power, stands at its center, finally understanding that true strength never needed a Rolex to prove its worth. Savannah Pierce's fingers trace the cold metal of her unworn Rolex, the watch that once symbolized her dominance at Camp Redwood, now lying abandoned on her dresser. The morning light catches its gleaming surface, but for the first time in her career, the luxury timepiece holds no power over her. 24 hours have transformed everything she thought she knew about authority. Standing before her troops, Savannah Pierce's voice carries a new weight, not from intimidation, but from hard-earned wisdom. Yesterday, I believed leadership meant making others feel small to make myself feel big. She admits, her words echoing across the training ground where she had once humiliated Maya Roberts. The same space now bears witness to her most profound revelation. The truth had struck like lightning when General Briggs's wife had stepped forward, but Maya's true victory wasn't in her connections. It was in her unwavering dignity. Savannah Pierce watches as her trainees execute perfect formations, not from fear, but from respect, their movements precise and purposeful. The sound of their synchronized footfalls creates a rhythm that speaks of genuine unity, not forced compliance. I spent years building walls with designer brands and cruel words, Savannah Pierce confesses to her assembled unit, her voice carrying across the morning air. Maya Roberts showed me that those walls didn't protect authority, they prevented it. The memory of her previous day's arrogance burns hot in her chest, but it's a cleansing fire now. Social media buzzes with transformation complete, but Savannah Pierce barely notices. The real transformation is happening in the way her trainees meet her eyes now, not with fear, but with trust. The viral videos of her previous behavior serve as a stark reminder, but it's the new footage emerging of her genuine leadership that's truly capturing hearts. Command isn't earned through intimidation. Savannah Pierce addresses her troops, her voice steady, despite the emotion behind it. It's built through respect capability and the courage to admit when we're wrong. The morning sun catches tears in her eyes, but she doesn't hide them. These aren't tears of shame, they're markers of growth. A young recruit approaches with a question, and Savannah Pierce listens, truly listens, for the first time in her career. The simple act feels more powerful than any display of authority she'd ever orchestrated. The sound of genuine dialogue replaces the sharp commands that once dominated her training sessions. The Rolex remains on her dresser as she leads her unit through their morning exercises, her bare wrist a reminder that true authority needs no accessories. Maya Roberts passes by the training ground, and Savannah Pierce meets her gaze with newfound respect. No words are needed. The transformation speaks for itself. Comment 2 if you've witnessed someone's complete transformation. As the sun rises fully over Camp Redwood, Savannah Pierce stands transformed. Her authority now flows not from fear or fashion, but from authenticity and earned respect. The viral hashtag may capture the moment, but it's the lasting change in military culture that will be her true legacy. Leadership isn't about who you know. She addresses her final assembly of the day, her voice carrying the weight of hard-won wisdom. It's not about what you wear or how loud you can shout. It's about who you are when everything else is stripped away. The training ground falls silent, absorbing the truth of her words. Share this story if you believe in the power of transformation. Transformation complete. The day ends as it began, with Savannah Pierce in front of her troops. But everything has changed. The woman who once used her position to diminish others now stands as a beacon of authentic leadership. Her transformation complete, not because of who Maya Roberts knew, but because of who Maya Roberts was. The Rolex remains unworn, a museum piece, marking the end of an era where authority was confused with accessories.